Good. So,
Yeah,
holiday time is over.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people that have already listened to our conversations. It's really nice that
Yeah.
when you do something like this, that people watch it, and some of them even comment that they like it. I mean,
Yes, they did. Yay.
wow. Yes. So I thought
uh,
that maybe I would like to say thank you while we are still friends.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I have no friends, but
Nordic people are so odd.
yes, yes,
But no, I noticed as well that the last two podcasts were received very nicely, and I like that. So people
yeah,
are engaging and commenting and giving feedback and stuff like
yeah. It's
that. So
nice.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty cool. So let's thank you as well from me to all our viewers and listeners. It's cool.
So
We had some
what's the
very
topic?
nerdy
Yeah.
topics. No, we. I was just saying we had some very nerdy topics lately about measuring and one about making speakers smaller and still keeping the quality. And you gave some graphs in a pie chart about the teal parameter, which I didn't know. So that's always nice to learn something new. And I was thinking about, maybe finding a topic that is related to that. And that's about active and passive loudspeakers, because it still fascinates me that there are really two kinds of enthusiasts. You have the people that say, I would just want something simple but good. And you have some people that say, I want to tweak around with amps and loudspeakers and matching them. And that's their way of enjoying the hobby. But there must be something that a producer like you, who makes both passive and active loudspeakers, has to say about that. That there must be an opinion there, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to thank people before we got into the talk.
I'll never listen to him again.
No, it's not. It's to my experience, it's not at all like that. But it is a little bit like there are three kinds of people when you get into talks on passive versus active speakers. Like they're the ones that agree with you already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ones that you would say we already on the same page. So let's just celebrate. And then on the other half, there is the ones that disagree with you. And to my experience, there's no chance that the ones that disagree with you would suddenly say, "Wow, I never thought about that."
Oh no, never.
Those two sentences, and suddenly everything has changed. So I have been thinking that we can make this podcast for the ones that disagree, but why? We can make it for the ones that disagree, but why? And then because there are ones in the middle, the ones that could go one way or the other. They just want to be informed about what's going on. So I think if we could talk to them, then I have made loudspeakers for 40 years.
Yes.
And
that's a pretty long time.
It's a very long time. And most of the time I have made passive speakers.
Oh, really?
And I have, until 2013, we made our first active speaker, and we started in 84. So that's a pretty long time with passive speakers.
Yeah.
And just like you mentioned, in 2018, we introduced a whole family of active speakers,
Yes.
and that was after building passive speakers for a long time, and after many years of kind of looking into a loudspeaker, analyzing components and developing drive units, acoustics, electronics, damping materials, all of those things, and looking at it and say, how can we improve? How can we make a better experience and all of that? And my experience was that we came to a certain line where if we wanted to keep improving our passive speakers, we could.
Yeah.
But we would make them maybe 5% better, but 50% more expensive. You get what I mean?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
There was still room for improvement, but the adjustments were really very small. So to me, that was a kind of sign that maybe it's time to look at something else. Maybe we have come to the end of the line, which does not sound very nice to the ones over here. but maybe
but you get the law of diminishing returns. You need to do a lot of stuff to make it a little bit better, and you can make it better, but it will be so expensive that your loudspeakers will be priced, astronomically high.
Yeah. That was our thinking here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you could think something else, because you can, and actually we make passive loudspeakers, and we still keep improving passive loudspeakers. So to me, it's not a religion. It's important to say it's a journey, and at a certain point, we came to that decision that we have to look at something else, and obviously the active speaker. And I've brought something. Something again.
Cool.
Because this is a crossover.
Yes.
Okay. This is
with a lot of coils and caps
from one of our passive speakers. And if you are an expert, you will look at these components, I think, and you would agree that this is good. This is good quality. Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And, it's good. There are these coils.
Yeah.
And there are capacitors. There is just one resistor. But what I've done is that I have taken one of these coils. There are two, as you see, but I've taken one of them, which is made of quite a good quality. It's 1.2 millimeter copper wire. And I've taken one of them, and I've made this out of it.
I was looking at that, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Is that some piece of hay?
Yeah. Is this some kind of art?
Yeah.
This is
this
cool. Is the 25 meters of copper wire from one of the coils. And it looks nice.
It looks very nice. It looks like art.
It does, and I'll keep it like that. But as a speaker designer, this is when you look into a loudspeaker for 35 years, and you work with different parts and materials and technologies, etc., you will at a certain point you will keep looking at those components, because in a passive loudspeaker, with passive loudspeakers, we are very happy to discuss the difference between loudspeaker cables.
Yeah.
You have this
Don't go there.
amplifier. You have no. Yeah, I went there one of the other times. I'm not talking about, but we discuss the difference between speaker cables, and we agree that it makes a difference. It makes a difference which kind of amplifier you use, etc., etc.
Yes.
But we never talk about this. We discuss the 3 meters of speaker cable, but we never talk about the 25 meters of copper wire inside the speaker, because
I agree. Yeah.
One
of my friends told me the same, because I was discussing inductance and capacitance and, impedance of cables with him. And I said, yeah, what's the added value compared to the crossover inside a loudspeaker? And he said, well, realize that there's a huge inductor inside. So, like you said, it's 25 meters of copper cable. And of course it has an influence. It doesn't mean that a loudspeaker cable isn't audible. I still think it's very audible. But
absolutely,
if you want to improve a lot, and that's why we are talking about active and passive loudspeakers, you should get rid of the whole crossover. That's the only option you have, I think.
Yes.
And I run active loudspeakers at home because I was getting tired of combining amplifiers and loudspeakers, because it is a huge difference. And I couldn't find the right amplifier for the loudspeaker I had in my living room. I wasn't happy with it. I got to a point I thought, yeah, it's good, but it's not what I'm looking for. And cables. I was just... The whole tweaking at home, just as a father and a husband, I was getting pretty tired of it. Here in the office, I love it, because there's no one complaining about stuff that doesn't work, or me behind a system checking out cables all evening. But at home, I'm so happy with my active loudspeakers. It's just, you put them there, it works. And there's no tweaking. And for a lot of enthusiasts, that's the whole hobby. But for me, no, not at home. And maybe because of that reason behind you, you have a crossover that you have to keep in mind. And I can't, I'm not technical enough to say, I'll get rid of this capacitor or this inductor and make it better. That's not my forte, so to say.
No. But as a speaker designer, I think you will always be looking for the bottleneck.
Yeah. You should.
There is your job as a speaker designer is to bring into the living room of the owner of the speakers what is on the recording.
Yeah.
No matter how good or how bad it is. It sounds really simple, but there's a lot of things going on, and the loudspeaker is responsible for a lot of the bad things happening. And
I believe you.
Designer, I just hate to say that, but that's what's going on.
Definitely, yeah. But how much? You say it's 25 meters of cable, and that's just one coil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there are two inside.
In this particular speaker, there are two. And in other speakers, it could be more, it could be less. We have the privilege to design our own drive units, so we can optimize and we can make relatively simple speakers passive with 7 components.
That's not a lot.
No, one small coil. And the interesting part, I think, is that with those speakers, the audible difference between loudspeaker cables is bigger. because we have
Yeah.
less, but this is a kind of information that you will never find it anywhere in the technical specifications. How many meters of copper wire do you have inside the speaker? You are on your own as an audiophile in that sense, that you have to combine the speaker, the cable, and the amplifier, and find the correct match. And building the loudspeaker, it actually means that the more you can reduce inside the speaker, the more you can simplify the speaker, the better. The bigger the chance for the owner to get the right sound in the end. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I was talking during my huge cable test, and I won't talk about it too much because that's not the topic. But it's funny you say that the simpler your crossover became, the more the speaker cable became audible. Because that's exactly what Vanden Hull said as well.
Ah, really? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. He said, because if you take a broadband loudspeaker, just one unit, without a crossover, you hear it immediately. And the more complex the crossover gets, the more components there inside, the less your loudspeaker cable will make an impact. And I noticed it as well, because I tried afterwards, like, okay, how does it, is it audible on this loudspeaker and this loudspeaker? I don't know, 4 or 5 pairs here. So I could try. And it's a huge difference. So, it's funny you say that, because it's true. Yeah, it's true. Definitely.
But there are other reasons to consider building. I'm the builder, so people will have to understand that that's my perspective. But to me, there are other reasons to build active speakers. I've brought a speaker with me.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Show me.
It's actually a prototype. So. But it doesn't matter. This is a prototype of a speaker that so we make lots of these.
Yeah.
Experiments with drive units, cabinets. We make listening tests, etc., etc. So so this particular speaker was it's not a product. So I think. This is not advertising.
No. It's just a prototype.
But looking at this and designing this passive speaker, we obviously had the Thiele small parameters that we have talked about in the other podcast, where this is a compromise between how efficient, how precise, how efficient the speaker is, how precise the performance, and how deep the bass. Just like any other.
Yeah.
This is, we cannot change the laws of physics. So this is a compromise. And when you have worked on something for, at that time, 35 years, back in 2018, you get a little bit tired of running into the same walls every time. You
damn physics.
Yes, it's still there. It was there last year, and now it's there again. So, what can we do about it? And the dream is actually to say we would like the deep bass, and we'd like the precision.
Yeah.
Because those two things you can never get anywhere else. The speaker will have to be able to deliver precision by itself. You cannot add an amplifier and then suddenly the speaker is precise. If it's not precise, sound will not be precise. So precision and deep bass, that's something that we have to deliver in the speaker. So we can do this by sacrificing efficiency.
Yeah.
I have many things. I brought this as well.
Because, there it is.
Small. Yes, here it is. Once again, yes. You can read it? No? Yes?
A little bit to your right. A little bit
to
more.
my right.
Yeah, there it is. Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
So
yes.
this is the compromise of designing the bass system inside any passive speaker, that you have to determine whether you want deep bass, efficiency, or precision, or any mix of these three. So what I mean was that if we can sacrifice efficiency and then integrate a very powerful amplifier, because that would be necessary if we still want to be able to hear the sound. Then we can actually have deep bass and precision at the same time.
Yes.
Because
efficiency doesn't matter because you have a big amp inside.
Yeah. That is reason number one.
Mm-hmm.
To go after the design of an active speaker versus passive. You can have more precise and deeper bass. That's not the same as saying that all active speakers will do that, because the compromise is still inside the small parameters. But there is a chance that it can be done. When I made the first presentation ever of one of our new active speakers way back then, in 2018, I was really thinking this is going to change someone's perspective on something. So I invited people to come and listen, and 3 people showed up. Three people.
It's something with active loudspeakers. It's just I'm shouting now for 10 years. I think like active is absolutely the future of good, affordable hi-fi. And still a lot of people say, no, I'll choose passive. And I said, why?
But I will have to say it's not like that anymore, but it has been frustrating.
Changing.
To me, it has been frustrating, but so I've been looking at other changes, changes in technology. I think in the Netherlands, you also have a lot of farmers, like we do in Denmark.
Yeah.
And,
a lot.
A long time ago, they had horses.
Yep.
And then the tractor came. Tractor, is that?
Is that a word in? Yeah,
it's a word. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the tractor came to farmers in Denmark, it took 50 years for the tractor to take over from the horses. So that's a long time. During 50 years, there were people saying, yes, you will never be able to do it better than with the horses. Then you are walking on the ground and you feel the soil, and there were people thinking that we will never get past the point where we can do it better than the horses. And then I started digging a little bit more into changes, and the vacuum cleaner. It took 20 years. 20 years for the vacuum cleaner, to replace the, carrying your carpets and going outside and whatever.
Yeah, the matteklopper we call it in Dutch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like hitting out all the dust.
Exactly. It's a long time. So, yeah.
Adopting new technology goes faster and faster and faster. I mean, 50 years for the horse, 20 years for the vacuum cleaner, but the mobile phone took 10 years maybe.
Yeah, the CD took 5 years.
Yeah, so it's getting faster and faster and faster.
It does.
And who knows?
Well, when iPhone came out, Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, he was laughing when iPhone was. Do you remember that? He was literally laughing, and he said it does not have a chance. Never. And I mean, the smartphone, the touch screen, and all of that.
Wow, was he wrong?
Was he? Big time. But I'm not saying that an active speaker is similar to that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you want to improve the loudspeaker and you have a passive speaker,
This is the way to go.
there's no other way, really.
But I think it's important to tell our audience that there are several types of active loudspeakers, because you have the powered loudspeaker that's in fact just an amplifier glued to the back. That's it. There's still a crossover inside. But really, a real active loudspeaker doesn't work with a crossover anymore. You have maybe, ideally you have an amp per unit, I think. And the amp only delivers the frequency spectrum for that unit. So it's filtered before the amp.
Yes.
Yeah, and
or inside the amp.
Yes, exactly. And there are cheaters, so to say, that sell powered loudspeakers as an active loudspeaker, but it works in a completely different way. And I think there's a third version of an active loudspeaker that has all the stuff inside, like a streamer, DAC, and everything. So you connect all your sources to the active loudspeaker, and it has DSP tricks inside to make the bass better and make it possible to do some room correction stuff inside, maybe. So that will be the evolution of a loudspeaker, like, I don't know, studio active loudspeakers as we know them from decades ago already. So maybe the new version of the loudspeaker with all the stuff inside already will be more appealing to the new next generation of enthusiasts. I mean, your Silverback series are a little, they have some tricks up their sleeve, I think, as well, because we had this small active loudspeaker in a test with some more active loudspeakers. It was streamed live, I think, and it's just insane what a small active loudspeaker can do in a big room. I mean, I was shocked at how controlled and deep the bass goes. We did it in our tone studio, and that's like 100 square meters, and it's a speaker that is, you know better than I do, but it's not big, the two-way active loudspeaker.
Yeah, I think it's 33 centimeters times 19. Yeah, it's really not. It's not big.
And I know from experience that if you would pick a passive loudspeaker with a big amp, it will not work in such a large room, because it's also pretty damped, because it's a live recording room and it's made for bands, and it's just big and it absorbs a lot of energy. And we had to turn it up 80 or maybe even 90%. So it was
able to hear it.
It was really loud for that loudspeaker, but it didn't clip, and it was still very well controlled. You could hear that the maximum was, it was doing its best. But still, for a small loudspeaker like that, it's incredible. And that's the power, I think, of DSP technology inside an active loudspeaker.
DSP is the new art in audio, I think. Finding out what you can do, where the limitations are, and what makes sense is what I think lies in front of us. There are new tools being introduced all of the time in digital technology. Most of them doesn't make any sense for an audiophile, but some of them do.
Yeah.
And in this digital world, we can experiment with these new tools, and we can play with them to see how it makes sense to integrate in a speaker or not.
Yeah.
And we can make our speakers upgradable. So when we we make something that we think could make a relevant difference to our users, we can make it down. You can download the change and then you can install it in your speaker. You can try it for yourself, and if you don't like it, you can change it back to the old version. And this is something that I think the modern audiophiles will be more nerdy.
Yeah.
They have a chance to get more nerdy than ever before.
Yeah, true.
It's a question of tempo, because I think one of the earlier conversations we had, we talked about knowledge on one side and belief on the other side. There is when there is when you don't know something, you replace it with belief, because you cannot somehow modern people cannot live with the fact that there's something we don't know. So we just believe something, and it to me it means that we could actually download algorithms in the speaker that could make the stereo image bigger, deeper. I mean, the way you want it. You can change the character of the sound. You can play around with many settings, and to me, it's extremely fascinating to just see the relevant tools, those that could actually make a difference, and somehow there is this bottleneck that how would any audiophile see that as a serious kind of tool to play around with? I don't know. So we don't have that kind of tools, but I think it will come in the future. We can do so many things with room correction. You can tune the sound of the speaker just to your liking, but it's actually quite advanced. I mean,
it is. It's complex.
To adjust an equalizer in a way where it actually works. I mean, you have to go through quite a few YouTube videos to understand what are they doing in the recording studio actually, and how if you want to make speech clearer, what is that exactly in an equalizer? I mean, is it just treble or bass? Definitely not. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, it's more.
And if you think that working with sound in this way is just wrong, because it's wrong. You are this the first thing you are against. They were for. These are against. These are the ones that are against. If you are against it, then you will be against it no matter what. So that will just be one more argument to say, oh yeah, I was against it from the beginning, and now they are tuning the stereo image, and that just makes me confident how wrong it is.
Well, it's funny because I saw a video made by Paul McGowan about modern hi-fi being boring. And it was, of course, a letter from one of his fans that said, modern hi-fi doesn't have any treble control bass or anything. Loudness is gone. Amplifiers just on and off and volume. And I thought, yeah, that's perfectly fine, isn't it? But he thought it was boring. But I think actually, now you mentioned this, and I think, yeah, it's shifted. But modern equipment that has stuff like DRAC or other forms of room control or equalizers built in the streaming software And a lot of streaming software has the ability to do some way of equalizing. Or DSP tricks like stereo image enlargers or anything like that. Actually, it shifted the problem from fixing the hi-fi, because Paul said, and he was absolutely right, that loudspeakers at the start in the 60s, 70s, 80s were not flat at all.
No.
They were bumpy like like a road with potholes. And now most loudspeakers are fine. They're pretty flat. They have decent bass extension. They have good treble response. So you don't need to fix that with equalizers. But now hi-fi is getting better and better. We have to fix the room. And that's what all modern plugins and DSPs and room correction software is actually doing. It measures the room and it adjusts the response to the room. And that's a funny evolution of hi-fi, actually, now I think about it. It's a completely different way of tweaking. We can go a lot further.
We can go, yes. The issue now, if we go that way, is information and knowledge and the availability of people actually knowing what they talk about when you tweak a system. I mean, if you have an equalizer, if you have DSP, if you have all of that built into your speaker, you can have the stereo enhancing effect. Where do you start if you want to try something? If you think that changing from one cable to another, sorry that I'm bringing it up, but if you think it's interesting to optimize your system to your liking, you could buy a cable and you could try another one, and then hopefully you would like one of them, and then you will build an experience on that. But with all the tools in your toolbox already, hundreds of them lying there, where would you start as an audiophile to say, okay, so now I have these completely room optimized speakers and everything is linear, etc., etc. So where do I start now?
That's really
if I
hard
want to play around. I have this passion for a particular kind of sound. I remember it from changing cables and amplifiers. Now I want to do something similar with these 200 tools. So which one is the first one to try?
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. That there is information needed to do that, and I don't know who will bring that to anyone, but I'm quite sure that you have to be a person that is able to communicate these topics to make people understand that this is something you can do.
Yeah, I did some stuff with room correction already, but at the time I just thought it was not good enough yet. Some are better than others. I think Trinov is doing a pretty good job, but it's really expensive. Dirac is getting better every update, but it's really nerdy if you want to do it correctly. And so there are a lot of things, but I noticed a huge jump in quality in the past 10 years. Room correction is getting a lot better. And that's a good evolution, because that's one of the other things I think that I really like in active loudspeakers is the possibility to do stuff like this. Because, of course, I'm really fond of doing passive room correction, but in a lot of living rooms, it's just not possible. You can't put bass traps in the corners and do diffusing adjustments in a living room. It's a living room. It's not a listening room. And the few people that have the luxury of building a dedicated room, well, good for you. Be happy with that. But it's not how stuff works. So in a lot of cases, you just have you live with someone in your house, and he or she says, "That's where the speakers go. Fine, that you bought them, but that's where they go." And if it's not optimized, you have a problem. And I think with DSP technology, you could potentially fix that problem. But if you're on a passive system, well, I know how frustrating it can be, because I've been to people at home, and I noticed huge loudspeakers standing in a corner, and I thought, oh man, that's not going to sound right. And of course it didn't sound right. But he said, yeah, I have a bass problem. Yeah, I could see that already. I can imagine that you have a bass problem. But it's the only place I can put my loudspeakers. And I felt sorry. I mean, it's an expensive hobby, and you know just as well as I do that acoustics is half of your sound, at least.
Yeah.
So getting your room correct and placing your loudspeakers on the right spot is vital to a good sounding system.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And getting more expensive cables or amps is not going to help. That's just not working.
If the problems are acoustical, then the solution is acoustical as well. It's not electrical or digital or anything. No. It has to be solved in the domain where it appears.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always my first question when I have an email from a reader, like, I have this or this problem. Okay, give me a picture of your room if you're comfortable with that, and just tell me about your system. And honestly, 8 out of 10 just have the speakers in the wrong place.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. I said, you can do all sorts of stuff. It's not going to fix your problem.
Nope, they have a room. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the whole.
Oh, you live in a room.
You have a living room. Okay, that's your problem.
Fix it.
But that's one of the advantages that speaker producers could potentially fix with active loudspeakers. At least make it acceptable by measuring what the response is, and maybe tune it in a way that, I don't know, that there could be advantages in active loudspeakers on this front. And yes. But do you think we're already there with the technology?
With room correction or with?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't. I think that we will, in the industry, we will learn as we move along. We have started at a certain point, and everything in that sense is being improved when we get feedback from the market, and we gain knowledge from universities where young people study some of these things. It will implement into technologies that can be put into existing products or new products. But no, I'm absolutely sure that we're not there yet. I actually think that we've just started. And to me, the DSP is the biggest thing that has happened in 40 years of audio.
Yeah,
not that
definitely.
It's the single biggest change.
Yeah,
I think. Not that the other
incredible.
Changes are. Yeah, it rides on the back of digital technology. So there would be no DSP without something digital to begin with, etc., etc. But the DSP itself and development of DSPs, I don't know where it stops. There has to be a demand for it. Someone will have to want to buy it before there is a development going on. But,
that's the thing, and it's a niche market. But I think, there are DSPs in televisions, of course, as well. So getting better sound from very flat TVs is one of the things that gives me hope, because people like images and they buy bigger and bigger and bigger screens. And there have to be DSPs inside as well. Otherwise, it just won't sound anything near acceptable. And smartphones and tablets as well. I bought a tablet 2 years ago, a new one. It's a 10-inch tablet, and it's of course very thin, but the sound is just mind-blowing. It's incredible. From a flat panel like that. That's when I thought, okay, this is this is impressive technology from a tablet like this. And you have to keep it exactly in the center, of course, otherwise the surround won't work. But wow, it's just insane. But still, so that gives me hope. But the thing is, in the high end, I noticed that at first you could hear the DSP technology a little bit, like in terms of dynamics, or I don't know, you just feel that there was a DSP inside. And the first loudspeaker I heard that I couldn't guess that there was a DSP was the Grimm LS1. It's just so good. You don't notice it, but there is a DSP inside, and they told me what they did, and they customize everything, and it was, I think that was the version that Bruno Puzzis was still working with Grimm as well. So his magic dust is inside as well a little bit. But that was impressive.
He is a clever guy, really.
He's a clever guy, yeah. He is, absolutely. But my feeling, and I'm not sure if you agree with that, is that the future of hi-fi will be active. That's my gut feeling.
A huge part of the future and a huge development will happen there. The love for buying equipment and changing equipment, I think, will continue for as long as any one of us can see, and that means the traditional hi-fi. I think. Why not? But there are limitations to how much it can develop when everything is working in silos, where one company is making the amplifiers and another company is making cables and another company are making the speakers, and the whole integration is not been taken care of. There is a limitation of how good it can be, but that doesn't stop anyone from buying and collecting old cars or many other things, because there is a love in it, and there is a fascination, and there's a community, and you can talk to people, and that kind of fascination is still not available, I think, when it comes to digital. I think it's a little bit like the tractor, you know. You could talk to the horse, you feed the horse, you have known it since it was small, and the tractor, it will just start. Where's the feeling? And that has, I don't think farmers today, I don't know if you like this example, but now I've started it. But
no, I still think passive loudspeakers are like horses for farmers.
Yeah. Now I had one friend left, but I think, there is, it's important when you are in love with this industry, that you can connect some kind of feeling to the equipment and to the people, and that is probably not there in digital. Although it is made by people, everything has been thought out by people, and all of us are very much engaged in it. But the culture,
I agree,
takes time to sink in.
Yes, I agree that the hardcore hi-fi community will stay with passive loudspeakers and high efficiency horns and tubes, and there is a certain charm in that.
Yes,
and it's just like vinyl. You see the record spinning around, and I didn't grow up with that, so I understand, but I don't feel it. And I grew up with CDs and computers and streaming, and I was always a computer nerd. So, I built my own desktop computers and servers and whatever. And
you did?
I still do, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
Linux.
nerdy is that?
Yeah. I know. Docker containers.
I assembled my own turntable, so that's how different we are.
Yeah, that's the generation gap. But still, we're talking about the same hobby,
Absolutely, yeah.
And but I totally get what you mean with the hardcore community. But as a whole, I think the only way forward is going active with very, very advanced DSP technology to make it work.
Yeah. We have only seen the beginning of it.
Yes. But there is one thing I have to give credit to the old generation, and Jung has these tannoys, like I told before, in his studio, and we were there last week again with one of our readers that grabbed his tube amp with him, and he wanted to hear it on the tannoys. These huge boxes with coaxial drivers and tons of wires and screws and stuff. There's just so much fun in it.
Yeah.
It's this ease. And especially, and I'm not sure if that's possible with small passive loudspeakers, but if you played on very low volumes, it still sounded great.
Mm.
It was incredible. It's like, wow, there's still this feeling and airiness. And if I play on very low volumes in my listening room, it doesn't sound as good. There is this threshold which you have to go through in order to make it big and engaging. And this system can play very, very low volume and still sound good.
Yeah. But that is not something that has happened by coincidence.
Yeah.
It could be a coincidence, but there is a reason why the tannoy system at Jung's place is sounding like that. I mean, It's not magic. That's actually what I want to talk about. It's not magic. It's not something that cannot be understood. It's just something that we maybe don't understand yet.
Yeah.
Back to this talk about knowledge and beliefs, that if someone wanted to analyze what is it exactly that makes it sound like that, what gives you that impression, and then you can build an idea that maybe could be this element, and they could test it on you and say, is it this? Try to take listen to this. Is it this? And you might say, well, that's a part of it, or no, it's not that, or whatever. And you could build another idea that maybe it's the combination of this, and they could test it on you. And at the end of the day, you could kind of solve the magic, I think, by saying, but the reason that it sounds like that is because of this combination of distortion, frequency response, room modes, or whatever. I don't know, but you have the experience, and you have talked about it before, so you seem to have the same experience every time.
Every time. Yeah.
So even though you have maybe a good day or a bad day, or no matter,
No.
it would, when you go there, you still have the same experience. So
Yeah.
there must be something there
Yeah.
that is going on.
Yeah, it's very consistent. Even with amplifiers we swapped, there is something in that loudspeaker that is just very nice.
Okay, so
And I know
you can isolate it to the loudspeaker.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Of course, some stuff changes. We had a tube preamp, a Yamaha preamp that was part of the Yamaha power amp, and a Luxman preamp. Didn't sound really good. Was a bit dull. But I know for sure that there is something in that loudspeaker. And in the years we made loudspeakers smaller and maybe more linear, because that tenor is not linear at all. I can hear that. It's but there is some fun factor and looseness going on there that's really engaging. And they did that really well. And maybe it's the teal parameter that they made a trade-off in some way, but it worked. And now we want very deep grunting bass, and that's not in the tenor. It's okay, but it's not 20 hertz. But it's so fast, and that's I think what they did.
You can get that from the small speaker, from a small active speaker.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and that's the thing I like with my active loudspeakers at home. They're very fast.
Yeah,
and it's very controlled. It's not 20 hertz, but they made the choice to make it very fast and very detailed. And I rather have that than very deep bass, because in a living room you can't have deep bass anyways. So yeah, I think. But that the whole point was, I get that people like this part of the hobby, toying around with vintage gear and tube amps and stuff like that. But it's a very small part of our industry. And the rest of the world will just want to have two small bookshelf active speakers with everything inside. And it has to sound great, even if they put it in the corner. And I get that as well. I mean, that's I think 80% of the target audience for hi-fi.
Yeah. After all, it's about the music and not so much about the equipment.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I still think that we live in an extremely noisy world. I mean, so many things are going on. You can worry about many, many things, and sometimes you want to go home and have some time for yourself.
Yes.
Your own, where you shut the door and leave the world outside and have this magic moment of your own.
Yeah.
And that has to be bullseye. I think.
I agree. I agree.
Because or else it's not your personal time. And that could be the opening door for someone to say, well, now I'm finally here. I am listening to my favorite music to find inspiration, energy, etc., to meet the world again. But it could be actually a little bit better. It could sound a little bit better. So what is going on? How can I improve? And so that's how I see a modern digital audiophile, maybe finding inspiration from others and trying to tweak their own system in order to get that magic out of your own personal time.
That's a good goal. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of people, I think that personal enjoyment in music after a hectic day is important. At least to me it is. I mean, I got into this because of music. I love music, and I couldn't live without it. So yeah, sitting on the couch in a listening room and playing my music is important to me. Yeah, I know. At home, it's always like, yeah, you like this dramatic music sung by depressed women. I say, yeah, I do.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, but my son, he loves music, but he gets into music really fast. He's very sensitive to that. So yeah, I get depressed by that music. Yeah, well, don't listen then. You have noise cancelling headphones. Put them on. So I can only do that here. And if I'm in the gym, I just play Metallica to get all beefed up and get into the energy mode. But that's what music does to me. I mean, I want...
Exactly.
Yeah. And it can take you places where you normally can't go during the day. So that's... it's important. But I think we discussed everything about active and passive in almost an hour, I think.
We did. Wow.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, almost an hour. But there's something for everybody. That's an important thing to say, I think. And yeah, you make both, which makes sense. And it also tells a story that you make both. So there is a place for both. But if I'm correct, active gives more possibilities to...
It does.
Yeah.
Yes. We can go further, deeper. We can improve more. The passive loudspeaker will become very, very, very expensive if you want to solve the remaining issues. And you can have all of that improvement and more in an active DSP control speaker.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I thank you very much for this 5th episode in the whole podcast series. We can discuss if we can have maybe more topics. I have some ideas, but it also depends on your time and whether our viewers would like some more. So they can put it in the comments if they have...
Oh, that would be nice to know.
Yeah, if they want more and if they have some topics maybe to discuss, and we can discuss it if we move on. So but for now, thank you.
I actually
Ole.
like it. You know, I actually like these conversations. I think that that we could talk even if no one was watching.
Oh, absolutely. We can discuss all world problems during the day. How do we fix the world? Wow, that will be the topic of the day.
Yeah, that would be a whole hour.
We can fix the world in an hour.
But it's
But it's definitely a lot of fun, and I like it as well. I think I've learned a lot during the past 5 podcasts.
Me too.
And the whole idea was 20 minutes per podcast, but we never made that goal.
No. How will that ever happen?
Never.
It will have to be some very, very small subjects that about
this tiny. Yeah. Maybe we'll get there.
Make it small enough. Yeah. I hope
but
people
thanks.
are still hanging on. Thank you.
Of course. Now that a lot of people made it to the end, I noticed in the comments. So that's pretty good to hear. And it tells them how dedicated they are.
Yeah, it's great.
On this wonderful, very slow-paced podcast without editing every silence. That's the YouTube generation for you these days. Well, hope to see you next time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.